Flosstube, I hope all is well. My name is Kirsty, Crafting Kirsty here on YouTube, also on Instagram. I am back with Flosstube number 28. It is July the 3rd, 2024. And I have a table full of stuff to show you. It's been 2 months. I didn't really have enough to show you at the end of May. And then June has just been a case of, oh, well, I'll wait till July now, by the time I sort of had what I felt was enough. It's been a reasonably busy 2 months. I had about I think it was 5 weeks helping John on the farm, black grassing. So we're literally walking up and down the wheat fields, pulling out the weeds that the sprays no longer kill. And I really got into my audiobooks. Audiobooks has transformed black grassing. It was never an overly enjoyable job. It was just one that you had to do, and it was fine. But now with my audiobooks, I'm actually quite keen to get back out into the fields to find out what happens in the book. So I had about 5 weeks doing that. The weather hasn't been great. We've had a brief hot spell, but over sort of most of May, the weather was a bit crappy. But actually looking at the things we've done in May, we seem to have hit the good weekends. So we had the annual May Day weekend up in Derbyshire. We only tend to go up for the day. John's family go up for a weekend, rent cottages, and we all go and do some walks. So that we have really nice weather then. My sister, her middle daughter, and myself went to badminton for the weekend, which is a big horse trials. We had really good weather there. That was a great weekend we had. We've had a weekend in Wiltshire where John's family hired a cottage and we all just went away, all the children. It's taken some organising now with 5 children that are all 20 plus, trying to get everyone together on one weekend. But anyway, a really nice weekend there. It was fantastic. They were in an old mill that had been converted, and we were in, I think it must have just been an old barn. But it had a pond in front of it, and it had a little bit of decking in between the house and the pond. It was lovely. It was really, really nice and very quiet, very peaceful. So that was a lovely weekend. I think the main thing, because obviously you arrive Friday, most of Saturday is spent out, and Sunday's really packing up and driving home. I think on Saturday we did the Bath Skyline, which is a sort of 6-mile walk. We'd assumed you would literally be going around the edge of Bath. Not quite so much. It's very National Trust oriented. Well, I think it is a National Trust walk, so you are walking in a lot of National Trust properties. And actually there's only quite a small section that is part of the skyline. But it was still a really nice walk, and we actually stopped, got some sandwiches from Tesco's and just sat next to the canal watching the boats go by, eating our lunch. And that was a very warm day that day. But yeah, so that was lovely. And then John and I have been down to the southwest. We in inverted commas, when it's not too hot I do it, when it's hot I lie on the beach. I do the southwest coastal footpath. This block we started at St Ives and walked round past Land's End and stopped at Penzance. So the first day we started in St Ives, it was a really hot day, and I just said, no, I'm sorry, I'm going to sit on the beach. So I did, and then the next sort of 2 or 3 days I walked with him. But I know whilst I was in St Ives, I sort of posted a picture, and a lady who follows, I think we follow each other actually on Instagram, Susan, was also in St Ives, and she was like, oh, we're here, and so it gave us a video tour of her cottage and whatnot. Unfortunately, I took the photo and then fell asleep on the beach, and then woke up at lunchtime, by which point I was heading off, so we didn't get the chance to meet up. But I hope you had a lovely rest of the week there. The weather was certainly very nice for you. And then, yeah, I think that's been about it. I've been doing a lot of gardening, which is all good. John's now doing jury duty. He's got about 2.5, nearly 3 weeks of jury duty to do. I am going to Wimbledon next Monday. So Wimbledon started this Monday. I am going next Monday. I entered a ballot on Facebook for the tickets. They came through, so I'll be going there with my sister, which will be good fun. We might try and get away for a brief spell before harvest starts, depending on when John's jury duty finishes. If not, we'll have to go afterwards. So yeah, I might not be, having not been here for 2 months, I might not be back till September, but I might try and do one in August. It just depends how much I do or don't get done. Yeah, that's about it really. So that's my brief life update. Cross stitching. I've got cross stitching, quilting, knitting and a planned crochet start to talk about today. Probably should have said that at the beginning. Anyway, I have finished. I have a cross stitch finish. So I have managed to finish Long Dog Samplers Quilts. So this is stitched on, I think it's a sort of 32 count, just white with the called for DMCs. I have stuck to pattern with the exception of, I think in these borders, she just has 1 stitch dots and going all the way across the border, like intermittently. I'm not doing those, I'm afraid. So I didn't. I think there's enough in there without it needing to be seen. All the back stitches done. I think the last time I spoke to you, I was just starting this bottom bit and finishing off the border. And despite my concerns, because I had gone wrong somewhere up at the top in the middle of the pattern, the border met absolutely fine. So that's a bonus. So yes, so this is now finished and I will be looking for a frame. I will see if I can get a, pre-made frame from the range or from anywhere else. If not, I will have to order one. But yeah, this is going to go in the kitchen. Close up at the final last few bits of the blocks. It's really good fun to stitch actually. Quite blocky. Block colours, so it's not that difficult. The most not awkward or annoying thing is the border, because you are literally doing probably about 9 stitches, 9 stitches per colour, and then you change. Which if you were organised and had plenty of needles, you could just set your needles up. I wasn't, so I just moaned the whole way through it. But yeah, so that was a finish, which I'm very pleased about. Excuse me. Having finished that, I then decided to pick up, whilst we went on holiday, I wanted something reasonably simple. Now I bought this pattern, I think it must have been November. I went to the Essex Needles retreat and a lady was showing her daughter's finished piece, and it's Brooks Books, Lewis Carroll's Wonderland, and it's basically all the Alice in Wonderland characters, and there's 9, or is there 12? Oh, I can't even remember how many there are now, but there's lots of them, and then you can sort of, I think she had them 3x4 or 4x3 or 3x3, whatever the number was, and it looked absolutely fantastic and I absolutely fell in love with it. These were on offer at the time, and quite a few of my friends were saying it's not really your style. And no, it isn't, but I do love Alice in Wonderland. So I bought it, whipped everyone else up into a frenzy and made them buy it as well. And I've started, and I put it, I don't know why I put it in a hoop just because I fancied it, sorry. So this is as far as I've got. Now, when I'm actually stitching it, I quite enjoy it. I haven't got all the flosses yet, which is partly, I think, what's hindering me. There's Krynic, which I've never stitched with before, which is also hindering me. And at the moment, I think this is probably just going to go onto the UFO pile. I like the finished product. I'm just not that fussed on stitching it. I don't know, we'll see. So I got this far and I've stopped. And if it comes out again, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. This could just be a long-term UFO, but might possibly pick it up at some point. Project. So yeah, so I did quite a bit on that and then stopped. So what I have done instead is I have picked up the Huntsman from the Scarlet Letter. This is becoming a bit of a summer stitch for me. So I had got all the way down here and I was outlining and whatnot, so I bring it a bit closer. Again, I'm absolutely loving this piece. This is full coverage, but again, very blocky. Outline it and then just sit and stitch whilst you're watching the TV. So at the moment I am now up to here. So I already had all of this top section done, and I think possibly the huntsman's hat. So I've come down out, I think I have the horse outlined, bits of it outlined anyway. And I think I have now outlined all the major parts, aspects, flowers, things within the bottom, so I can just go back. Some of them aren't just complete, you know, some of them got 2 or 3 colours in, so that's fine. And then I need to outline the lines of the hill, the colours of the grass as well. Ooh, bug, excuse me. Windows open. So yeah, I'm really enjoying stitching this, and to be honest with you, I think this is fairly well going to be my main stitch now until I've finished it. Having said that, there is quite a long way to go, but I really am desperate this year. I've got this piece and another 2 pieces that I would like to get finished by the end of the year if I possibly can, because I know next year I have 2 or 3, possibly 3 big starts that I'm starting with my friend Janet Dodd for her 60th year. And at the moment all I have are big projects, which I really enjoy and I like having them. But if I keep adding to them, I'm never going to get anywhere. So yeah, I am going to concentrate on this one and try and get it. If I don't, I will pick up one of the other 2. But yeah, for the moment, this is such easy summer stitching to just go and sit outside and stitch. Or as I said, sit in front of the TV. My youngest daughter is, well, the twins are home. So the youngest daughter is currently watching Love Island next door, which obviously is absolutely shocking. Don't watch it. Completely into it now because she always starts watching it and I always say, oh my God, why are we watching this crap? I don't want to watch it. And then within the first 2 days, I'm into it. And yeah, so I don't watch it consistently, but I do keep up with it. But we have also started a series called Pretty Little Liars, which is like this American trash, but it's so good. I do love a bit of American trash TV. So good. I have already watched it once in full and once half flicking in and out. Still don't really fully understand quite who's who, how all the characters blur. Doesn't help that it's sort of over 7 series and there's at least 20 episodes per series. So quite a few, not the main characters, but quite a few semi-main characters. The actors change halfway through as well. So suddenly Jason walks on and I think, well, that wasn't Jason 2 days ago. Anyway, so yeah, so we're watching that. So I've got a lot of fill-in stitching. So that will be great to sit and watch. That'll be my Pretty Little Liars piece. Yeah, anyway. And then I'm not going to have a birthday start this year, again, because of the whole lots of big projects. I want to get lots finished. However, I will be starting in August the 1st, I think, we normally start, the next Fancy Blacket chart. So this is our 4th year of stitching a Fancy Blacket. So we must have started in 2020. And I think I bought the project and Elaine bought it and then said, oh, let's start it, or vice versa. But so Elaine, Ellie Stitcher on here on YouTube, Alison, who's Alison Stitching with It, Ali Stitcher on Instagram, and now we have Laurel and Laurie who are joining us as well. Basically over the years we're just gaining more people as we can. So this will be our 4th Fancy Blacket that we will have started. I chose this year, it's my turn to choose, and I chose Fancy Blacket Shoe. So this is Pinebury Lane. She has her own website. She is also on Etsy, but she has her own website. I ordered this off the website and I had a moment. I ended up, I think PayPal was messing me about, something happened. So I kept on trying, and then eventually the payment went through, and I'd actually bought 3 of the same chart. I was like, oh my God. So I messaged her and apologised and said, is there any chance you can refund me? And within 20 minutes it was done and dusted. She had refunded me. I apologised. She said, it's absolutely no problem, don't worry. But yeah, so very good customer service from Pinebury Lane. So this is Fancy Blacket Shoe. I will use the called for DMC I'll do it on a piece of fabric that I have yet to choose, but we will be starting this on the 1st of August. I had assumed that we would, I couldn't remember the hashtags from last year. I assumed we'd just have done it as a yearly thing, but we haven't. So this year I'm also picking the hashtag, so getting a bit bossy now because I got to choose the chart, of hashtag Fancy Blacket Shoe Sal. So Fancy has an E in it, Blacket has 2 T's, and shoe is as in SHOO. So if you would like to join us, please do download the chart. We will be starting on the 1st of August, and we will not be competitive about who gets this one stitched first. It is normally someone different every year, but there's always someone that starts out of the gate and just sprints it down, and the rest of us are still, you know, choosing our fabric, and someone's finished it. But so I'm looking forward to stitching that. So that'll be the 1st of August. So between that and the Huntsman, that really will be, at the moment, what I intend on stitching on for the next, certainly month, 2 months. So that's it for the cross stitch. If you're only here for that, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have a good summer. I hope the weather improves for you. Although to be fair, the vegetable plot needed the rain. Right, I'm going to go on to quilting before I start waffling. So you have to excuse me, I've just got things to move back. So what have I done? Oh, no, that's cross. Oh, so at the moment I am tying my Etoile Rouge Catherine Kerr quilt. So I've got it hanging over my cutting table, which is mentally and physically blocking me from doing much else. Because until I get it finished, I'm refusing to start anything else, or there's lots of things I would like to start. And physically, because I just can't get anything else onto the table at the moment. So I will show that when I've finished tying it. You've all seen it before. It's the big red, green and gold one. I managed to get in to a local quilt group. So I'm a member of 2 quilt groups, of which the ladies overlap quite a lot between the 2 groups. But they're sort of unofficial groups. But I have managed to get myself into a local quilt group. It's taken me a few years. They're scraping the barrel now, obviously, for members, because now they've let me in. But I got into it. It's a local one. I think they meet once a month. They have an evening session, and they quite often have social stitching days on a Saturday, or they have classes. And just as I got in, I had been going as a guest from a friend for a while, so I did know a few people and knew how it all worked. But as I got in, they had a class, I believe it was with Janet Goddard, to make a Dresden plate. So you were supposed to make a Dresden plate, or start to make a Dresden plate quilt. I didn't really want to start a whole quilt because, as I said, I've got various ones I need to finish, fully finish and sort out. So yeah, I just picked a couple of fabrics that I didn't really think I was going to use in anything else. And I thought, well, I'll just make one Dresden plate and turn it into a bag, because you can never have too many bags. So this is what I made. Now, it didn't help. She sent the instructions out, which I read and then promptly ignored, because what else would you do with instructions? So I think we were supposed to have 4 or 6 different patterned fabrics. I only took 4 or 3, I can't remember now. But anyway, it worked out fine. She was a lovely lady, very calm, very patient. At one point when I was on it, I said, oh, I'm chasing it round, but I think I'm going to have to start, I've gone wrong. She said, oh, you've never gone wrong, you just have to learn how to fudge it. And she was the queen of fudging, so that's always quite nice when somebody's like that. So this is the Dresden plate that I've made. I mean, I've watched enough videos. I've always wanted to make a Dresden plate quilt. I've watched enough videos, but it's always nice to have someone on hand for when you do make a bit of a muck-up of it to help. So yeah, I've got more of these fabrics. I'm just going to do a patchwork back and then turn it into a tote bag. So that'll be easy enough. I just need to get that Etoile Rouge quilt off my cutting table so I can get on with it. So yeah, so this was really good fun. I now have the template. I've got quite a few things of fabric, lines of fabric, and I would like to make a Dresden quilt, different sized ones. So yeah, but anyway, so there's my Dresden quilt. that I did in my group. That was good fun. And then really the only other thing I've worked on has been my Jane Austen coverlet, which is what you can see behind me. So it's hanging up on a bed sheet at the moment. This is not how these 6 blocks are supposed to be laid out. They're actually supposed to be in a diamond shape, but this thing is going to be huge. And so this one here would have been right down at the bottom, so you wouldn't have been able to see it. So I've just stuck them up there. These are all French General fabrics with a primitive gathering fabric that I'm using as the sashing. Everything theoretically is symmetrical horizontally and vertically, if that makes sense. So you've basically got 4 quarters that are flipped and flipped, because obviously that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So yeah, so I finished another one of those essentially. But I thought I'd hang it up so you could start to see what they were looking like. Now, I did have a lady in the comments on my last video who asked me to talk a bit more about this, about my process of paper piecing. Would like to say now, I'm not an expert. This is the first time I've paper pieced. But this is the Jane, well, it's called the Jane Austen coverlet, but this one's actually titled as the Jane Austen quilt. So this is essentially what it's going to look like. The lady who designed, or who I think she had permission to go in to reproduce it. She's done that. She's done all the maths for it. Rosalie Clark, Australian lady. So when you buy the pattern from her, you get this big booklet explaining it all, and then you have the option of you can either machine piece it or hand piece it. So I chose to hand piece it, and this is my hand piecing supplement. Now in my hand piecing supplement, you have pages where you can choose your fabrics and stick them to it so that you know what number is what. This is actually the bit that took me the longest. Then you also have all the templates in here for all the various parts. So I just photocopy those and use the photocopied ones, obviously. You then have various sheets. So I've used this sheet to number so that each one of these corresponds to a number, because otherwise it would just be like an almighty jigsaw puzzle at the end. Now the only thing is, at the moment I'm working on this section, and then these are all 1-inch pieced diamonds as well. And she suggests that you do a quarter at a time and put it together in 4 quarters, obviously them in the middle bit. So I mean, I'll do as she suggests, I suppose. But I think that is the bit that's concerning me the most, is actually physically putting it all together. I mean, these will all go together absolutely fine. It's going to be this area here, you know, sort of the border to the border, that might be a bit awkward. And we've had multiple discussions already about this centerpiece, which is a big motif on the old, but you just don't get those sorts of fabrics anymore. I've been looking and looking and looking. You don't get them. You do, well you do, but they're in furnishing fabrics, which I don't know, we'll see when we get there what I'm going to do with that. So I photocopy the amount of papers I need, cut them out. I use a Soline glue pen. Ew, sorry, that's a bit manky, it's got a bit of thread stuck to it. You can buy lots of refills. I have got lots of refills. So I cut out the fabric. Let me just show the back of it. So you're essentially cutting out one of these pieces. You then cut out one of these. This is the back of it. So I do use an iron, and I would like to get one of those small craft irons, because I keep on burning my fingers, surprisingly enough. And I finger press it, so I put a bit of glue on, finger press it over, and then I iron it down as well, just to get a really straight edge. I will be leaving the papers in until it's all finished. Hopefully then I will be pulling them out. I'm sure they'll be fine. So you could baste around here. That seems like a lot of work, which is why I opted for the glue. I'm then stitching one of these to one of these, and then you do all 9, and then you put the 3 together, and then you put the 3 together. I am using, which I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I'm just using a Gutterman cotton, 100% cotton. This colour is, I think, 618, so it's a sort of beige, which I thought was the best thing to try and not have it showing at all. Now I have friends who've just finished the Lucy Boston, or two of them are doing the Lucy Boston quilt. And so when you put, can I bend it? Yeah, so when you put these two, you know, you're whip stitching these bits together. When you whip stitch, you do tend to go from one side to the other through the top. So you would go across. But you can see the stitches on the right side, not all the time, but for quite a lot of them on theirs I could. And I mean, they're good quilters. It's not that they weren't being careful or not. You could still see the stitches, whereas at the moment you can't see mine, but I am going, so I tend to come under and up and then under and up. So I come up on, I don't think you can see these very well at all, but I literally come up on the crease bit. So I'm not catching the two bits together. I'm literally going from one side to the other. Not explaining it very well at all, I'm sorry. But basically with doing it that way, at the moment you can't see the stitches in the seams. I am using I think I'm using a Big Eye. Yeah, I think I'm just using a John James Big Eye quilting needle, size 11. Now these are quite small, and I honestly think it's just what you're comfortable with using. I mean, I wouldn't particularly use something quite so large as those, because I think that's when you're going to get the holes and you're going to see more thread. But that's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong, I don't know. I use an awful lot of clips. These clips, Wonder clips, are just wonderful, hence the name. Use all of these to hold everything together. I do have a very tatty, thimble-ish thing. I don't tend to use it. I'll use it if I'm getting very thick pieces. I've got a needle that's fallen out of somewhere now. It's not out of there, so I'll put it back into this one. And yes, that's about it at the moment. I mean, there are lots and lots and lots of videos on YouTube, you know, showing you how to do it, all different ways of doing it. I think personally, I'm getting straight edges, straight lines. So far, touch wood, everything's going together as it should be with the way that I'm doing it. Gluing is infinitely easier than basting, or quicker than basting. It will just be a case of pulling the papers out at the end. I will be using a needle to just go underneath the paper, and hopefully it will just pull out easily enough. But yeah, it's just each their own and how you want to do it, really. I was talking to the ladies at the group this week, sort of saying I'm not convinced that all of my seams are possibly as strong as they could be. Now, I can either go back and just do another section over to close them up, or to, you know, get them tighter if I'm a little bit concerned. Yeah, I've just got a little one here next to that blue. That's just a little, you see, that's just a little bit loose there. So I will, I think, just go back and restitch over that section. I was talking about when it's finished, it's going to be absolutely huge. There's no two ways about it. I think, is it Paula of the Snail's Garden, Eva Faith? She, when I started it, she sent a photo saying, oh, this is me standing next to it. This is a huge quilt. So I'm a little bit concerned about the weight of it, because I don't think I personally will use it as a quilt. Hopefully for me this is a bit of an heirloom piece. I would like to actually hang it on the wall, possibly. We'll see. So I think to quilt it with, you know, layers and batting and whatnot will make it incredibly heavy and very difficult to wash should you ever need to wash it. So the ladies were saying with their Lucy Boston quilt, which again was a very big quilt, they had put very lightweight iron-on interfusing at the back, which would also hold the seams together. and then just put a backing on. They hadn't actually quilted it, because I was also saying, you know, I might get it properly machine quilted, you know, by a professional to hold my seams together. But I don't really want to, but I don't also know quite how I would hand quilt it. I mean, I suppose you could just go round the inner and round the sides, but again, that's going to take for absolutely ever. So I think I might do as they say and just put some iron-on interfacing on the back, and then just have a backing fabric and then bind it so it's not thick, because it will already be big and heavy. But yeah, so that's it, and it's all just, as I said, the majority of these fabrics are French generals. I think possibly some of the brown ones I've put in are from a different line. Yeah, and it's, you know, once you've, what I tend to do is get a whole load of diamonds cut out and organised, and then I just bag them up and then just grab a bag and sit and do a diamond. It can take quite a while to put one of these together. You know, I normally take, yeah, it normally takes a good, I don't actually know like how long it takes, but it takes a good while. It takes a good while to put them all together. See if I can hang this back up without pulling everything down. There we go. So yeah. Yeah, so that's it really. I hope that tells you how I'm doing. If you have any other questions, again, please do ask. But as I said, this is the first time I've ever done it. So I'm by no means an expert, and I'm sure there are things that I'm doing that people just go, oh, for goodness sake, you shouldn't be doing that. But there we go, each their own. And the only other thing I have quilting-wise to talk to you about is, because Doughties keep on sending me emails with money off offers, and this one was for some Kim Deal fabrics, so I couldn't not. So I just bought, I think, these half meters of what they had in stock. So quick run through, because I know I like to see pretty fabric. So these will go into the stash for, sorry, you know, all these wonderful future projects that I have planned that I'm not getting to because I haven't tied my quilt. It was the Malvern Quilt Show at the end of May, but I didn't end up going because I actually went to the Dresden plate class instead, which I decided was probably the cheaper option than going to the quilt show. Haven't actually been to a quilt show all year yet, which is a bit of a shame, because I do like going to them, and I do think if you want them to keep going, they need the footfall there. But there we go, it's just how it's worked out. Yeah, so very pleased with those. They'll go on the shelf with everything else, as I said, for those multiple planned quilts that I will make. So that's the end of the quilting. Now on to knitting. Knitting has got a little bit, well, it hasn't got out of control, but I have been doing a lot of knitting. And I think not the problem, but the reason is that you start a project, and for me as a beginner knitter, I start and I need to finish a section, because I can't just pick it up halfway through, you know, that section if there's raglan increases or if there's something specific that you're doing, lace work or whatnot. So what have I made? I made the Sophie scarf. Now I made this with, did I keep that fabric? Excuse me. So I said I've got paper everywhere. So I made this with coastal colours, 70% alpaca, 20% silk, 10% cashmere. So this is the Sophie scarf from Petite Knits. Yeah, Petite Knits. Really simple. I like it. I thought this was slightly darker. I thought the greys in this were going to be dark, but they're not. My issue is, I think this is the small one. And I've obviously got a fat neck, which is always a delightful thing to learn, isn't it, that you've got a fat neck. It doesn't really, I don't know, I don't know how to wear it, or I don't know how to tie it, but if I sort of do it like that, it's not that bad, but it's tight enough, but it also just seems quite bulky. Whereas if I do it just sort of like this, I suppose that's better, but then these seem a bit excessively long. Didn't gauge swatch for it. But I did follow the pattern with regards to the amount of rows and the increases and the decreases. So I don't know whether that makes it a bit longer, but it's just a little bit, it's a little bit too long to just be tied like that at the side. It's a little bit too short to go around twice, and then it makes it look quite big and bulky. Could wear it as a headband. Probably won't, but I could. So yes, so if someone can tell me, because I am a toddler, how to get dressed, how to wear my scarf, that would be very useful. But as I think it's really easy knit. Not the eye cord bind as you're knitting it. I love the colours, just not quite sure how to wear it. So that was the first project. The second project I then undertook was the, so this was a amalgamation between the Take 5 by Annalisa Dione from Ravelry. It's not colour I'm afraid, but essentially it's a boat neck, and there is cabling down the side of the arms and around the bottom. And so I downloaded this and then got a little bit stuck on reading the actual pattern itself. Took it to a friend who we eventually worked it out, but that was a little while later, and I was just in one of those moods I wanted to get it started and done. So I then picked out the Paloma from Espace Tricot. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. So essentially this is a sort of turtleneck with this down the side, basically pearl bumps down the side. It's a free pattern. So I sort of merged the two because I really wanted more of a boat neck. And I came up with this. So you'll have to excuse the crease line. I finished it a little while ago. I don't know if I can put this on without ruining my hair. This is made out of, it's just stuff everywhere. Wharf Mill yarns, steel. This is 100, what does it say? It is 100% British wool. It doesn't actually say it on that part. Anyway, so this is steel. Which is the front? Which is the back? I think that's the front. Now, I really like this. It was fine to knit, even though I was sort of amalgamating two patterns. It was absolutely fine. I like the neck. Neck's wide enough. I like the detail down the side. I only wanted a short sleeved one just for, you know, sort of spring and autumn time to put over. My issue is it's supposed to have a certain amount of positive ease, and it's absolutely fine here. This is great, this is fine, nice and comfortable, but you'll have to excuse my sweatpants. When I stand up, it's just huge. It's fine, it's a big baggy oversized jumper, but I'd hoped for something that I felt would be a little bit smarter, or to wear in a little bit smarter scenario. It's reasonably long because I wanted to use the wool up. That's fine, you can't see the bottom there. So I think what I need to do next time is I've started taking the measurements just above the top of my bust, which is what everyone says if things aren't fitting you fantastically. And I need to learn, what I want to know is there a set way to decrease down the side so you've got a bit of shaping? I mean, it doesn't need to be Betty Boo shaped, but yeah, that is just a little bit cumbersome, I think, really. I don't know if there's a set ratio or not. So what I actually need to do is find a book that, or find a pattern that includes side shaping. You know, I mean, is there a set ratio? I don't know, 2 stitches per inch or whatever. Is there that? But anyway, other than that, I'm really, really happy with it. Love it. I think it'll be very good spring, summertime. Just, yeah, a little bit baggy. So that was the first one I finished. And it's funny because this is really quite thick, dense material. However, I think in the last video I had finished the Felix pullover, identical yarn. I think there's only one size difference in the needle, so I can't remember what I did this in, probably a 5, and I might have used a 4 for the Felix or something. And that jumper is incredibly lightweight, airy, open gauge. Exactly the same yarn, but anyway. So yeah, really quite like that. Actually, it's not feeling that itchy around my neck at all, but I could always that's all right, cope with that. So, finished that jumper, that was great. And then, I started, because I then have more, so I'm trying to use up the yarn that I've got in my stash, as we all do. And I had bought again when I didn't know what not that I know what I'm doing now, had bought again when I didn't know what I was doing. 3 balls of something, 3 balls of something else, you know, just not enough to make a full amount of anything. So I actually put these 2 balls together. I've got some left over, which is a little bit of a pain because I'd hoped to be using them up. So this is Diggle DK, Pure Wool DK Net from woolyknit.com. This is Rust. 97 pure British wool, 3% viscose. And then this one, that's what I've got left over of that, is Blue Faced Leicester, 100% natural blue faced fleece. Sorry, I can't speak at the moment. Again from Woolly Knit. And that was that colour. What colour is that actually? Mid brown. So that's mid brown. And this is Rust Nip. So I sort of thought, oh, they're reasonably similar actually. They'll go together, that's fine. I thought I'll make a stripy jumper if I can. So I then found the Yoshio by Lucia Ruiz de Aguirre, who is Luymou, Luymou on Instagram, and I think possibly on Ravelry as well. Anyway, so I found this pattern. So it's just a very simple stripy jumper. I think, is that a drop shoulder? I don't know if that's a drop shoulder. I don't know quite what this construction would be called. But it's the sort of thing you just put over a, you know, sort of a dress or a shirt or whatnot. And I thought, well, that looks great. That'll be nice and easy. Now, to be fair, again, all of these patterns have been absolutely fantastic. This pattern, again, really, really easy to follow. Really enjoyed making it. It was slightly different. Oh, now, one of these I did something slightly different in the short rows, and I can't remember which. I think one of them, it had wrap and turn short rows rather than German short rows, possibly. Didn't like those, much prefer the German short rows. But anyway, by the by. So I came out with this. Now what surprised me with this is when you actually can't go close, this nip, Rust Nip, actually it's not really showing here, has got quite a peach or pinky undertone to it. I really like it, but I was just quite surprised because when I held these together I thought, oh yeah, they're both just beige, you know, but no, they're not. One, it has got a slight pink undertone to it. So you've just got a wide neck, you finished everything with an I-cord bind off, you've got these shoulders, and then this. So it's supposed to be reasonably cropped. I had mine a little bit more cropped because when I'd actually knitted it to the length that it said, I put it on and it was basically just a boob tube. And I thought, I'm not really sure I'm of an age. In fact, I'm not sure I ever could have got away with a boob tube. So I thought, well, A, I want to use more of this wool up, and B, it needs to be longer. So I'm going to keep knitting for a little while. So I did. So I've realised the only issue I have, and I thought I've got gauge for once, is, I don't know if, I can't, let me see, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get this on. So it fits on the body. It's the arms that cause the issue. So, hang on a minute. They're just a bit tight, and I have this sort of, because you have got short rows for the height at the back, but I've got a little bit too much height. The arms are a bit tight, and I mean, otherwise it fits fine. It'll be great over dresses or whatnot, but I just don't think, I think basically the biggest issue is I haven't got enough depth in the arms. Although actually it doesn't feel that bad. It's not uncomfortable with a shirt underneath it. It just, I don't think it sits quite right. I'm such a Cinderella. It's either too big or it's too small. But yeah, so I mean, as I said, really enjoyed knitting it. Learned some more new techniques, which were all great. I suppose I could. No, I don't think I could. I was about to say, I suppose I could take the I-cord off. But I need to add stitches to make them big. No, that's just not good. I'm just do some exercises to tone my arms. So yeah, so that is the Yoshio. Again, I would highly recommend the pattern. It just doesn't seem to sit quite right on my body. But yeah, very simple, very easy, very enjoyable knit. I just don't know if I'm, well, there's plenty of, anyway. And you know, to gauge, I should have had 3 inches of positive ease. I've got that. My arms are quite big, so I do need to remember that and probably just put some more stitches on. Although I think that was the problem, was you didn't. Maybe you did. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so let me just take this off, because again, being 100% wool, whilst we have had some rain, it is still reasonably warm. So those are the 2 pieces that I have finished so far. Really enjoyed knitting them. Sorry, let me just move some of this mess out of the way. So what have I done next? So the next thing I have started, because I had to go to Hobbycraft yesterday to get something for a crochet blanket I'll talk about in a minute. And the last time I'd been to Hobbycraft, I'd seen this yarn on the side and I just could not stop thinking about it. So I'm just going to buy it. And so I bought, and I knew, I had an idea of what I was going to use it for. It's called Knitcraft Oh My Fluff. Now this is just 62% acrylic, 38% polyamide. I just love the colour. I just could not stop thinking about it. And then I was watching the Island Lamb Knits YouTube video. So a lady who does knitting videos, and she had made this piece in a blue and she has added the ruffle on, and I just absolutely loved it, and I thought I'm going to make it in the pink. So this is the Everyday Wrap by Coco Knits, who I think designed by Julie Weisenberger. So again, I'm sorry, it's black and white printout, but it's just a very simple wrap. And then you seam, where you seam it, you can add a ruffle to it as well. Now the way the lady from the Island Lamb knits had hers on her mannequin, it was slightly off. So this point was down one side of the arm. I think personally, I think it looked a bit better. So I have started this. This was a free pattern on Ravelry. And I'm using, as I said, the Oh My Fluff. It's supposed to be, I mean, am I getting gauge? Is there even a gauge? No, there isn't a gauge. However, oh, there is 16 stitches for 4 inches. I don't know, I haven't done a gauge swatch. This is what I've got so far. Now it's quite, I'm holding 2 balls together. I'm getting the size that I should be getting. So this should be 13 inches and this is 13 inches and it's still got a little bit of stretch to it. So that's absolutely fine. Although it does look, I think, quite narrow for, I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, so holding 2 together, you've got all this sort of fluffy stuff. You can see, I don't think you can quite see in there. You can occasionally, oh, you can't see it at all. On the balls, you can see the thread the white, and that does occasionally fleck through, but not too bad at all. This is a really simple pattern. As I said, it's free. Just knit a long rectangle, and then it's how you sew it together and add your ruffles that then turns it into this everyday wrap. So yeah, I'm enjoying doing that at the moment. I love the colour. I just hope it fits when I've finished. So I think, oh no, one more knitting piece. This is a long-term project. So I think ages ago I was talking about the fact that I bought a whole load of acrylic cones from somewhere. Again, didn't know what I was going to do with them. I have finally decided, taking inspiration from this cross stitch piece, which is a Joy Sunday, probably illegal, bought it ages ago off Amazon, stitched it, but I do absolutely love it. And I've taken inspiration from this here, which is what I would call an old-fashioned or a patchwork blanket quilt, really. So I am just making squares, and I will stitch them all together. I'm holding the 4-ply acrylic double, so it's far more of a DK, and actually on the cone it's quite rough, but once you've held it double it's really soft and squishy. It's lovely. Quite light at the moment. I do wonder whether it's going to become very heavy, particularly washing wise. But yeah, so I've just, these are only the first 4 colours. I think I've got probably about 8 colours. One colour I will just use to join. But yeah, so that's what I've got at the moment. Again, just a very simple square. And I think I decided I wanted them to be about 5.5 by 5.5. So I just cast on until I got to that point. So I think I'm casting on 30 stitches. It's all garter stitches, and I am knitting 25-ish rows. And that's that. So that will just be a long term, keep piling those up and then find a pattern to lay them out in when I've finished. Finally, crochet. So I have got my scrappy blanket that I haven't touched for absolutely ages because it's now quite big, so at this time of the year it's just too hot to have on my lap whilst I'm crocheting. But I do have, my eldest niece is expecting her first child, which is very exciting, and so I asked if I could knit her a baby blanket, and she said yes. So I have chosen the Bertie baby blanket by Little Doolally Crochet Patterns. Is this? No, I've got this in Ravelry. Yeah, I've got this off of Ravelry. And I'm sorry, it's black and white again. But essentially, these are all different. So the rows are different colours. So it's a block row of one colour, essentially. And then the white or the cream. It's just holding it all together. And so my sister, her mother, said pastel colours. So I went to Hobbycraft yesterday, and these were the pastel-y colours, apart from this bright pink down there. Pastel-y colours that I found. These are all DK, 100% acrylic, so she can wash it easily. 100 grams, Wendy Supreme DK, 100% premium acrylic. So I'll use it, and then I bought a cream rather than a white, which will be the adjoining bits. Yeah, so all of those colours together. So I start that. She's not due until October. I will start it soon though. I mean, this one actually only comes out, and I've got more than enough yarn to enlarge it, at 20 inches by 22 inches. So within a couple of months it's going to be more of a loincloth than it is a blanket. So I am going to increase it. I think she does say it's quite easy to increase it. Just make sure you've got the right number, obviously. So yes, so that will be my crochet project to start. I think that is now finally it. Good God, 54 minutes. Sorry about that. It's been a long one, but it has been 2 months. There's so much of a mess on the table. Really don't want to clean it up. Might go and have a coffee and then come back and clean it up. As I said, quite likely won't be back till September now, just because we'll be harvesting at the end of July, August. But it just depends how much I get done, and if we have any time, I will try and fit one in. So if I don't see you until then, have a fantastic summer. And by the time, if I don't come back to September, it'll be autumn. The pumpkins will be out. So yeah, have a good summer. Take care.